Welcome to Pretty Blunt. I am your host, Jamie Libowitz. I am joined with the head of community from High Buds Club, Sabine Schwartz. New opening, who am I? And we've got all the hot gossip for you today. So what's up, Sabine? What's going on?
Biggest hot gossip launching in January 2026 or earlier if you're special is the High Buds Club Budtenders Choice Awards.
Tell me more.
I think that this is the best awards in the industry. Like shamelessly, obviously, but like we've created it very specifically to do something.
I know all the details, so I would agree. But what's different about this awards than, all the other awards?
The first biggest difference is the Budtenders can only vote once.
Okay. We love that.
So there's no spam voting. It is just vote once per category. And we're actually doing 2 rounds, which has like a different value. But I think just like the voting once is already a big deal.
How many budtenders do you think we're going to get to vote on this?
My goal is 1,000, honestly, but I think we could get a little bit more. It's just cool to be able to like actually showcase your opinion at a large scale like this. And they've already been so excited. So I think we're going to get like a decent amount. Okay, like why do you think this is better than other awards? Pretty bluntly.
I think this is better than other awards because it's consumer focused. The idea around the Budtenders Choice Awards is that it's going to live in retail. It's going to live on retail shelves as a silent salesperson for consumers to understand what the Budtenders best of picks are and the products that they can trust and easily say yes to. I believe it is going to be an indicator of quality to consumers. And if you look at other worlds, such as beauty, the Allure Best of Beauty Awards are an industry standard. The brands are putting the winning sticker, the winning badge onto their products. It's on the shelves at Sephora. It's used as I said, a silent salesperson to be able to indicate quality. And nothing like that exists in this world right now. All of the awards in this world are very much pay to play. You can vote as many times as you want. That doesn't happen here. The idea behind this is to give the budtenders a voice to be able to indicate what they actually think is the best product of the year. They've tried them all. They've sold them all. They're around them. They're obsessed with them. So it really is, to me, the curator's choice. And it's meant to serve consumers. It's meant to help consumers bridge the gap in retail to understand what they want to buy. From an e-com perspective, it's meant to help consumers on websites make choices. And again, it's a real silent salesperson. It's the ability to indicate quality, and it's very clear. I'm really excited about it.
I had so many thoughts while you were talking because I think the quality piece is the most important piece. But I also want to mention that I think the secret gift with this is that it's annual. You can have the strain of the year 4 years in a row.
For sure.
Like you can have the infused pre-roll of the year 6 years in a row and really gun for that over and over, which I think is really cool. But I want to talk about the Budtender because it's actually also not about what they've tried. Because when you and I were really conceptualizing this and we were like, okay, like what is actually the value here? It's they hear every return. They hear every purchase. It's like beyond just what they're consuming. They actually are the only people that know what the reasons behind things are. And so that's why I think this is a more valuable kind of awards because it's like almost expert selected, like what you said. Pano said it was like the Academy for like the Academy Awards. And I was like, right, like that's a specific group of people.
Right. Like actors vote on the Academy Awards. And so I love that example because it really is the front line. It really is the people who hear all the returns, to your point, hear everything that the customers tell them. They also have the HBC feed to see what other budtenders are talking about and what they say, and then they can draw their own conclusions. And as I mentioned earlier, this is not pay to play. If you win this award, you really won this award. We're not bribing anyone. We're not giving samples, none of those things. And so I also think that it's a nod and a yes to the work that brands have been doing over the last year, because if the budtenders don't know you exist, you're not winning the award. It's really very simple. If they've never heard of the brand or the product that you're submitting, like you can't pay to influence them. You can't have a bot go and auto vote. It really is the budtender's choice. And so all the work that these LPs have put in the last 12 months are meant to show who are the winners and who are the losers, who are the best in class, and deserve that recognition. And then, the reality is a lot of these awards that are currently in place are like all about ego. And this industry runs on ego and vibes, but the ego is personal. We want our awards to mean something. And so that's why you're going to hear us say silent salesperson all the time, because it's really focused on the awards for consumers. It's not so B2B can tell each other how great we are and like get excited about that. Cause like side note, no one cares. It's about the consumers knowing how great you are and being able to influence that purchase from them. And so that's why I think they're going to be like really impactful. Yeah, it's the first one, but it's certainly not going to be the last.
Well, I think what you just touched on, Jamie, is like a huge part of why I think it's the best is exactly that. Like, it's not just B2B. It's like the eventual vision is that you will have this emblem on a shelf and a customer will be able to walk in and immediately determine, oh, this was the vape of the year as determined by the Budtenders, or, oh, this was the flower of the year as determined by the Budtenders. It's that trust build that happens immediately silently. We really did create the categories to actually help consumers make decisions rather than just some of the arbitrary categories that we have internally.
Totally. And the whole goal of High Buds Club is to be the most influential cannabis community. And so that puts the influence at scale. It allows it to creep into retail, into sales, into the customer, and influence them. Because if I'm a customer and I'm browsing anywhere and I see something won the award versus something that didn't, I'm immediately picking the thing that won the award, especially in a world that I don't know a lot about or I'm not as confident in. Over half of all purchase decisions in a dispensary are made based on a budtender's recommendation. So I imagine a brand that wins an award that over 1,000 budtenders in the country voted on is going to hold a lot of weight with consumers and is really going to push the needle at the bottom of the funnel to get that buy and to get that, customer sold. And then it's up to the products to wow them. But budtenders are not going to put their stamp of approval on a product that isn't going to wow customers. So it is that check mark. It is that, blue check on Instagram, if you will, of just like, yeah, we co-sign on this. This is really good and you should buy it.
This elevates the influence of the budtender at the same time. By participating, that means that you, as a budtender that voted, have influence over all of the products that get sold in this country over the next year. Actually, all budtenders always have that influence. I feel that. But this is like longer and more external influence than just the influence that you have every single day in the shop, because like you're able to advocate for these products long term without you being there. It's so cool, actually.
Well, it's influence at scale. We've just seen from the budtenders on the platform as we've like teased this out to them and have gotten them involved in some of the categories that we're working on and all of those things. They are very hungry to have a voice. And individually, they have a voice in their stores, sure. But how do we give them that voice at scale and make sure that not just the retailers, but the customers understand their role, understand that they are the subject matter experts, and take those opinions and run with them?
I want to talk about quality, though, because I think this is actually a huge discussion point. Because it is about quality, yes, but I want to push you and the world and kind of why we're calling this Budtender's Choice and not best selling or top performing or whatever, is because it's about exceeding customer expectations and then being a confident recommendation for the budtender. So it's not just being the normal, regular, degular infused pre-roll. Like being a good infused pre-roll is not going to win you this award, right? Being just good is not going to win you this award. You actually have to be slightly beating the expectations of the customer so that they're surprised and delighted from you and want to repurchase you, and that the budtender feels confident every time that you're not going to disappoint them when they go home. Like that's truly the quality marker.
Totally. But this award, the idea behind this is not to indicate a participation trophy. Cool, you commercialized an infused pre-roll. Great. Like, here's an award. The idea is that you are the best infused pre-roll. And like, I believe that there are winners and losers. I don't believe in participation trophies. And so if somebody made a superior product and everybody acknowledges that it is superior, people should know about that. And you can't buy that clout. That's the thing, is that a lot of brands want to buy their way through market. We see it all the time. Like, oh, they paid for shelf space. Okay, great. They think they've done their job and their products are getting through the market because they might be the cheapest product on the shelf. And then, they paid to get that shelf space and they're just splitting their margins left, right, and center. And they're never actually going to win. They may sustain the business, but that doesn't mean the best. The best, you can't buy being the best. That's something that people decide. And as I said earlier, you cannot pay to play for these awards. If you won this award, you won it honestly because the Budtenders really believe that you are the best. And I think that clout, that's the thing with clout, you can't really buy it. You can't buy it at all. You have to earn it. That, I think, is the biggest differentiator. The other thing is that this is going to be a trust building exercise for the Budtenders. And what I mean by that is they may not think that something is the best, but then when it gets voted on honestly, it may change their mind. It also may not change their mind, but it may change their recommendation. This isn't for me. Like, this isn't what I would choose, but 7 out of 10 Budtenders said this was the best infused pre-roll on the market. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Colgate. Obviously, it's not the same thing, but it is the same thing. And so, it's really meant to legitimize the opinions of the curators, of the subject matter experts. And then, as I said, act as a silent salesperson to the customers to indicate that it's quality and it's something that they can trust.
Honestly, incredible. Why do you think now is the time versus us doing this like 5 years ago? Like, why do you think now makes it make more sense?
I think from a business perspective, if I'm going to speak honestly, me and you, we finally understand what the purpose of the business is. I've always known that it is about like the collective scale of budtenders and reaching budtenders at scale, giving budtenders a voice. When I look back to my early work on what this community was supposed to be, a lot of what it has turned into was there from day one. But I think we now understand how we need to be positioned in the market. And the reality is that High Buds Club is the most influential cannabis community, I would argue right now in Canada, but eventually in the world. And influence comes in many places and spaces, but influencing consumers is the only way that anyone is ever going to win in this game. And no one has targeted consumers. Everybody has pretty well targeted ego and vibes, and they're giving each other awards that the system can be gamed. And like, listen, I get it. Everybody's got to hustle. And some of them have done like a really good job in building out these awards programs. But the thing that no one has that High Buds Club does have is the community of budtenders and the scale. And so when it comes to influence, if we are to be the most influential cannabis community in Canada, well, that means that we're the curators, and the curators should have a voice.
That is like such a mic drop. I'm like aghast. I'm like, who is she? Is she on a panel? The thing that I was going to add to that, that's a little bit less about us and more tangential, but I think that one, we have an opportunity as the budtenders being experts in this industry and as this industry being a baby industry to like mark time with these wins, because we actually could not have made this program a while ago because there wouldn't have been Vape of the Year first year. Like, do you know what I mean? Like we've now had enough category differentiation and enough time for things to sit on the market where consumers are now recognizing things, like the industry's built out. But then every single time there's a new innovation, I really wish that 3 years ago, someone, maybe it's me, retroactively will name Back 40's all-in-one vape like product of the year, because that was a real moment in time that changed the industry. Do you know what I mean? Like that was a change maker.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the first products the timing was absolutely perfect. They launched it at the right time. And you can't game the time of something. Like sometimes you're just wrong. There's lots of things that we've tried 2 years ago that didn't take, that are only now starting to work. And it's not that the idea was bad, it's that the time wasn't right. So I think from, the Back 40 all-in-one perspective, they timed the market perfectly to launch that product. The product was also very well designed and it worked. It did the thing that it said it was going to do. And we see it. How many of our clients have told us that, they're coming after the Back 40 all-in-one, like that's the product that like is really a behemoth, but they did a really good job on it and they should have won an award, but the market didn't give them an award. And this is the idea, to mark moments in time where the market decides that you are the best. And then it's easier to get to number one than it is to stay at number one. And so as I envision whoever wins product of the year, brand of the year, pre-roll of the year, like all of the things, brands are going to come after them next year. And it's really going to be up to them to keep that top spot and keep winning, because it's easier to get to number one than it is to stay at number one. And once you're at number one, everybody's coming for you. So I also didn't even think of this until now. I also think that these awards are going to push the market and push the LPs to succeed. It's not about doing more. It's about doing less, but doing better and really commercializing products that people want, that you can win with.
I really do think it's going to push everybody forward. Okay, how is this going to show up in stores, though? Because it's going to show up in a couple different ways. And so this is, I think, a part of it is we do envision there being a shelf. I do envision there being a sticker or a banner. And so hopefully that'll drop. We're going to do our announcement ceremony in March, which I think will be great.
We're currently onboarding retail partners. So if you're a retailer and you'd like more information, hit me up on LinkedIn, jamie@highbudsclub.com, shoot me an email and we can chat about how we support your store. Be there, be square. Like, don't know what else to say. Ciao. Peace.